How's it going, everyone? Man Spartan here, and today I'm bringing you another Contest of Champions War video. We are on War number 7. We're up against Avengers BR, which I assume is Battle Royale, but I won't assume. The defense was pretty good. I mean, I recorded a little late, so my Pad 9 guy kind of cleared everything. I am not on Boss Island. We do have a Photon Boss, but I am on 2 of the mini islands. So at least there's some action for you guys. Sorry. The first fight is a Claire. Nothing really crazy. It's just the same note as usual with when you stun them, you don't have a buff. They do reduce the duration of future stunts by 20%. I don't really like to deal with that. So what I do is you'll see I'll bait the heavy so I gain some withers and then immediately throw the SP1. So I do like to use a start with a bar of power. It's not necessary, but I do like it due to the fact that it makes the game a lot more easier. Because now I can have the simple technique of dexing, holding the precision, then parrying to not reduce the duration. But, it doesn't always work out that way. But the good thing with Sandman is you're constantly knocking them down in his playstyle. So I'm constantly applying a new slow with also, putting a new one in there. So just like that, the fight's over. We do have to use a gray boost for it, but, I beat the fight so fast, and I'm also usually able to use it for the next one. Now, they did put an I-bomb here, which that really just means you'd have to bring a direct counter to it. And the good thing is Sandman is bleed, poison, and shock immune. So he has a lot of immunities. He's very useful, very versatile champ. I'm very glad that I have him. And as you can see, we did end that fight so fast that we did keep the gray boost. So it'll actually allow me to get all the way to an SP2, which obviously the decelerates and the slow isn't a main thing with I-bomb. But, the more debuffs, it's a more damaging route for Sandman. So we'll pretty much just be laying into him. We do land the parry here. I mean, whether he gets SP2 or not doesn't really matter to us. But I do prefer to have the SP1 because it does put a petrify. You could willpower regen, and we could still punish his SP1 with a big 16k burst on top of a 10k yellow burst, yellow crit. So just like that, we're mowing him down. He is a little tanky, but it's really nothing bad. We do have our relic, so I'm able to do the SP2 and then immediately do the relic. Most times the computer is recovering and trying to throw a special, but because they can't throw the special, they kind of just stand there and get eaten alive by the relic, which is a good exploit for now until Caban probably patches it and realizes that you shouldn't be allowed to do that. So we're going to do a big SP1 here with a big burst, and it took 8% of his health, which is a decent amount considering how tanky he is. This was a 565, so pretty much just taking our time with it. You can see the petrifies are reversing his regen, and we just do a heavy there because with all the heavy proficiencies, each one increases his damage of his heavy by I think about 200 damage. So, you have about 8 or 9 of them. That's a decent amount of damage. Now, this interaction was interesting to me. Obviously he can beat Titania. There's nothing really bad about it. But I didn't realize how long the fight would take, because you guys are going to see when I root her and she throws the heavy, because that's what the computer does, and she has Haymaker, she'll just go into Haymaker but not be unstoppable. So she'll be taking no damage from the burst. So the first thing we do, we're going to be gaining some heavies here. Not only to gain the Fury from the node, but also gain some heavy proficiencies and build up, hopefully, to an SP2. Kind of depends on what we're thinking at that moment. She does throw the SP1, but the Haymaker is on cooldown. As long as I don't block any lights or anything of her special, she won't be putting the debuff, so it'll be the full 30 seconds that she needs. We do throw the SP2 because not only the SP2 does the massive decelerates, but it does the most buffs, so we can really prioritize it. And just like that, I do wait a second after the SP1 animation to actually root her instead of knocking her down like I usually do. And as you can see, she tanked 3 of the bursts because she's still unblockable and indestructible. She's just not unstoppable, which I was like, I guess. So I realized that this fight was going to take a while. I wasn't worried about timing out or anything, but it was more just wow, this fight is going to take a long time. So I'm trying to, land the relic so I'm able to get a couple of bursts before she goes Haymaker. We do pretty much get the full amount from this. She does throw the heavy with the last burst, but we did get 2 big bursts from it, so the trade-off wasn't bad. Not to mention, Sandman's attack power is relatively low. That's why you have to build him up. And that's why his awakening is so important, because it gives him like a 3,000 attack increase when he's unstable, on top of the heavy proficiencies that you have to get throughout the fight. Overall, it's a lot, but with the Furies from the node, a 10% Fury every time you knock him down is really useful. You kind of disregard it at times, but it is a pretty big thing. That's a 10% boost that you basically don't have to run. Not saying to not run boosts, but it definitely helps. So we unfortunately didn't wait long enough, so we kind of had to knock her away with that. But it's fine. She went Haymaker. We can't take advantage of the big bursts because she's indestructible. So this fight is just taking forever. It is super long fight. Had to use the relic there. She's almost at an SP3, but luckily she does throw the SP2 right away. She is very aggressive, so we do kind of take advantage of that. Throw the SP1 to get our unstable. Hopefully with one big burst she'll be dead. And just like that, she is done. The fight took way too long. But luckily it was a one-shot, no problems. Now this fight, not a big deal. It can go bad. EMP Kingpin. I use iDoom on it like a couple videos ago. He either shrugs off the shock, not a big deal. But when he doesn't, you can hold the heavy and then throw the SP2 for power control. I prefer iDoom because I do like the idea of if he starts being stingy with his specials, because it does have rise to power, which is basically like Mystic Dispersion for a champ. When there's a Mystic on there, it's even worse. But for any champ, it basically gives him some power. Like with Domino, it's tough. But a lot of times if they don't want to throw their specials and they're not cooperating with you, they'll just hold on to it and then gain 3 bars from the node. So I prefer iDoom only because if that is unfortunately the case, I mean, it's not right now because he's kind of just like enjoying throwing that SP1, which I am more than happy to let him throw. And I'm trying to land the one shock, as you can see, but he just keeps shrugging it off, which unfortunately throws us almost to an SP3. So we will have to throw the SP2 without the aura, which isn't a big deal. It's not too bad. It still does decent damage, but that's not why we're saving it. We're saving it for the power control. Because if he, at any point in the game, doesn't want to throw the SP1, at least we have a way of maintaining his power. So at that point, of course, he gives us the shock when we don't have 2 bars, but the fight's going well. Dexing. He really is throwing those SP1s. I know sometimes Kingpin can be really stingy and just doesn't throw anything, so we were definitely very fortunate. There's another Alliance member, another Path 2 person that likes to throw Spidey 2099 at him, and that's definitely a solid option. He prefers not to deal with the placebo buffs at all, so there really is no power gain, so you can spend the whole time baiting. Not a bad option. This fight, I love taking aggressive regen, especially with Sandman, because it doesn't matter how tanky a champ is. If you stay in their face and let them gain multiple regens, he just reverses it completely and dominates. And you're going to see here, the fight does take a long time. It is a pretty long-ish fight. But as soon as I start to realize just to let him gain his regens and there's really nothing, there's no problem with anything, the fight goes a very different turn. So pretty much we did start with a bar of power because I do like the full control on the regens at the beginning of the game. We do have to knock down Rintra a lot, which ideally actually builds up Sandman a lot better. We can gain the heavy proficiencies while keeping his charges down, so when we gain our charges, he loses his charges. So it's actually ideal to play Sandman against Rintra because they literally, both their playstyles counter. He's literally made 2 counter Rintra. So our main priority is to keep the SP1 Petrifies on. We were able to land that intercept, and I don't know how he even landed Ruptures on us. He is at 0 charges again. So we're pretty much just maintaining the fight completely. We are at 6 heavy proficiencies, which is a very comfortable number. He's not gaining enough charges to be unstoppable or rooted. And we're trying to stay in his face. And as you can see, we are just staying in it, cooking him alive. He's got 5 regens on him. He's ticking away. And just like that, the fight is over. The fight would have, gone a lot worse if I didn't, if I played it head up. Still would have won, but it is a very tanky champ, so we kind of try to do it as fast as possible. Just stay in his face with all those petrifies, and any champion just goes down. Next up, we do have a Rooted Gore, which This was the only fight that I was like kind of nervous about. So I do start the game off with a parry to gain a spell, so that when I gain the neutralize spell, it already comes out paused. Sometimes I mean, it's not a mistake. It's okay if you want to play like that. If you start the game off with the neutralize, it's not a bad idea. The only problem is you now have to do another spell to pause the neutralize, because the first spell that you do never pauses it. So you have to, it's ideal to put another spell and then put the neutralize to have the neutralize stay paused. I think it pauses buffs for like 5 seconds or so. So as long as you keep juggling with the spells, the game's going to end like that. So it was easy. Very easy game. GG's to these guys. We do end up beating them. I don't remember the score, but we all did amazing. You know, I know we stayed under 10 deaths, which is good. Obviously not good enough for where we want to be, but it is a step in the right direction. By the time I'm voice-overing this, we are in another war, and that one's neck and neck, and I did really good in that one too. So overall, I'm having a good couple of wars, you know. Definitely an improvement. You know, I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. This war was a little stressful. I was very nervous about that gore, which ironically was the quickest fight in the war. So, you know, overall I had nothing to really be worried about. But overall we're doing good. You know, I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. I do appreciate all the support that I'm getting. I do have to make like the 100 subscriber special, which is now turning into 140 subscriber special, and I couldn't thank you guys enough. I do have to hop back on. I've been playing Street Fighter. I do have to post a Street Fighter video soon. Probably not today, hopefully tomorrow. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.